History holds its secrets in a complex codex. We're here to report on its patterns. This is Codex Report. Today our focus is the Middle East, currently in the flames of war. The Israeli and also the American message is unique. They will not allow Iran to become a nuclear power regardless of the cost. But Europe is silent, especially France. Does this have anything to do with the fact that Ayatollah Khomeini, back in 1979, landed in Iran on an Air France plane? Although this question serves as a prologue to our program, we will explore it more deeply in the next episode. Iran, under the leadership of Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei and its war cabinet, responded with a wave of long-range ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, and swarms of suicide drones. They fell on Israeli cities, military bases, and strategic infrastructure. Although Israel's multi-layered air defense system, Iron Dome, David Sling, and Arrow, intercepts a large number of threats, the damage is significant, and life in Israel has departed from the realm of normal. Since this is the first and introductory episode, I cannot bypass the words of Benjamin Netanyahu, who promised the Persians he would repay them for what the Persian Emperor Cyrus the Great did for the Jews. Let us recall that important biblical story. Cyrus the Great, the Persian Emperor, freed the Jews from Babylonian captivity. Netanyahu obviously has in mind the stance of a huge number of Iranians that the Islamic Republic represents neither the present nor the historical aspiration of the state-building Persian nation. And indeed, a large number of Iranians hope for the return of the Shah, the monarch of Iran, the monarch of Great Persia, which until 1979 was a parliamentary monarchy. But is Netanyahu truly right when he says that a change of the Islamic regime in Iran would be liberation from bondage? Yes. In many respects, Iran then looked like European capitals until that 1979, which we will cover in more detail in the next episode. But there are too many buts and questions in this enigma. Iran, or should I say correctly Persia, and Israel are natural allies, dependent on each other. But for the last 46 years, things have drastically changed, though they were never, nor have they remained, simple and easily discernible through superficial observation. How did we reach this point, the edge of an abyss where nuclear facilities become legitimate targets, and open war is a daily occurrence? To understand today's dramatic events, which are the culmination of decades of smoldering hostility, we must dive deep into the past. We must investigate how cooperation from the time of Imperial Iran and Israel, led by the vision of David Ben-Gurion, transformed into irreconcilable enmity after the Islamic Revolution of 1979. In this program, we will consider the complex and often incomprehensible alliances during the bloody Iran-Iraq War, when Israel secretly aided Iran. We will analyze how religious divisions between Shias and Sunnis were used for political goals in the struggle for regional dominance. The first topic that will bring us closer to the truth about the historical relations between Iran and Israel before 1979. Iran and Israel were allies in the shadows. Before the fateful Islamic Revolution of 1979, Iran, under the firm authoritarian rule of the Shah, Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, was a pillar of pro-Western policy in the Middle East. The Shah wanted to modernize Iran on the Western model to transform his country into an industrial and military power. His Iran was a secular state, at least on paper, but beneath the surface simmered deep dissatisfaction among traditional and religious Shia Iranians. And, what is almost unbelievable today, such an Iran had extremely close, mostly secret relations with Israel. This cooperation was not accidental. It was deeply connected with Israeli foreign policy strategy known as the Periphery Doctrine. This doctrine was conceived and pushed by the first Israeli Prime Minister and founder, David Ben-Gurion, as early as the late 1940s and during the 1950s. Ben-Gurion understood that the newly created Jewish state faced a mortal danger, surrounded by Arab states that openly wanted to destroy it. At that time, Pan-Arab nationalism, led by Egyptian leader Gamal Abdel Nasser, was also strengthening, which further intensified the feeling of isolation in Israel. The essence of Ben-Gurion's Periphery Doctrine was simple. If your Arab neighbors are enemies, then seek allies on the periphery of the Arab world, among non-Arab states and minorities who also had their reasons to be distrustful of the Arabs. The goal was to create a non-formal but important ring around the Arab core of the Middle East. This would reduce the pressure on Israel, gain a strategic advantage, exchange intelligence, and even receive economic and military aid. The key partners in this Ben-Gurion vision were monarchist Iran, Turkey, which was among the first Muslim countries to recognize Israel, and for a time, Ethiopia. Israel also provided some support to the Kurds in Iraq. The cooperation between Iran and Israel was beneficial for both sides. Iran provided Israel with oil, which was crucial, especially after Arab oil embargoes. In return, Iran received modern weapons, training for its army and secret services, and assistance in agricultural and technological development from Israel. There were even joint companies. Their powerful secret services, Israeli Mossad and Iranian Savak, directly cooperated. According to historian Meir Litvak, they exchanged data on the activities of radical Arab groups, Soviet influence, and even had joint operations. It was a classic alliance of interest, where ideology was not much considered. However, everything was changed by the Iranian Islamic Revolution in 1979. Everything changed radically in February 1979, when Ayatollah Khomeini took power in Iran. Iran transformed from a pro-Western monarchy into an Islamic republic, guided by a completely different idea. Khomeini not only wanted Iran to become a strictly religious state, but also to fight against world arrogance, referring to the USA and the West, and to export the Islamic Revolution to other states, especially by supporting the Palestinians. In this new story, the policy of friendship with the West and Israel was immediately rejected as betrayal. Israel, the former ally, overnight became the Little Satan, and America, the Great Satan. Zionism was declared a racist ideology, and the existence of Israel an insult to the Islamic world. Let us recall, beyond all mystifications, the essence of Zionism boils down to the idea of restoring the State of Israel, and was founded in the 19th century. Zionism was not unified from the beginning. Some of its proponents believed it must include a return to the Middle East, to the old land of origin. However, there was also the idea that Jews could create a state anywhere. The Iranian Islamist regime considered the formation of Israel in what was then Palestine an act of hostility, and practically projected the disappearance of Israel as its key task. The Israeli embassy in Tehran was closed in 1979 and handed over to Yasser Arafat's Palestine Liberation Organization. From that moment, enmity between Iran and Israel became the foundation of Iranian statehood and policy. Slogans, "Death to Israel," became common, and Iranian officials regularly called for the destruction of the Jewish state. Everything became much more complicated just a couple of years later with the start of the war between Iran and Iraq. Then, religious divisions among Muslims and the fact that Iran was Shia, while Saddam Hussein was the Sunni leader of Iraq, came into play. When Iraq, under Saddam Hussein, attacked Iran in September 1980, one of the bloodiest wars of the 20th century began. Saddam feared that Khomeini's revolution would spread to the Shias in Iraq. He wanted to seize Iran's oil-rich Khuzestan province and for Iraq to become the main power in the Persian Gulf. It should be emphasized here that Saddam Hussein, as a Sunni, ruled a majority Shia Iraq. Shias make up about 65% of the Iraqi population, and besides Iran and Bahrain, it is the only Arab country where Sunnis are not the overwhelming majority. A mixed situation exists in Lebanon. So, only a year or two after the radical anti-Israeli stance of the Iranian Islamist regime, a turn of events occurred that shows us how fragile alliances in the Middle East are. Most of the world, including the USA, the Soviet Union, France, and wealthy Arab Gulf countries, supported Iraq. They were more afraid of the spread of Khomeini's radical revolution than of Saddam's regime. America removed Iraq from the list of state sponsors of terrorism and sent it aid, including intelligence. It was even implicitly approved for Iraq to use chemical weapons against Iran. And Israel? Israel decided to secretly support Iran. Why? Israeli logic was cold and calculated. Iraq under Saddam, with its large army and open threats, was considered a more dangerous and closer enemy than distant, though ideologically hostile, Iran. Also, the Israelis thought that supporting Iran would prolong the war, so both countries would weaken and exhaust each other. They also hoped that more moderate forces would emerge in Iran with whom cooperation would be possible. Israel, through various channels, sent weapons to Iran, especially spare parts for American planes that Iran had since the Shah's monarchist regime. All this happened with at least partial knowledge of some circles in the American administration. This tangled story would later become known as the Iran-Contra affair. We will talk about the Iran-Contra affair in the next few minutes. Iran-Contra. In the mid-80s, a huge political scandal erupted in America, the Iran-Contra affair. Some officials in the Reagan administration, despite a ban, had secretly approved the sale of arms to Iran. The main reason was an attempt to free American hostages held in Lebanon by pro-Iranian groups, primarily Hezbollah. It was believed that Iran could help. Israel was the main intermediary in these dealings. The money from the sale of arms to Iran did not actually end up in the U.S. Treasury. Part of the money, without congressional approval and violating American laws, was secretly diverted to finance rebels, the so-called Contras in Nicaragua. When the affair was discovered, it caused chaos in Washington. Investigations revealed astonishing details about secret operations and violations of the law. The scandal seriously shook Reagan's credibility. The paradox was that the USA was officially on Iraq's side, while secretly arming Iran. The main intermediary for aid to Iran was their fiercest enemy today, Israel. Shias and Sunnis, the religious conflict that shapes geopolitics. To understand the conflicts in the Middle East, we must dig deeper into the religious division within Islam between Shias and Sunnis, which has existed since the very beginning of Islam, from the 7th century. Iran is a predominantly Shia state. Most of the Muslim world, about 85–90%, are Sunnis. After the Islamic Revolution in 1979, Iran began to actively position itself as the protector of Shias throughout the region, but also as a leader of the Islamic awakening against the West. It provides its most direct support to Shia communities and movements. Iran finances, arms and trains groups like Hezbollah in Lebanon, Shia militias in Iraq, and the Houthis in Yemen. The goal, as Iran's opponents claim, is to create a Shia crescent, or an axis of resistance from Tehran to the Mediterranean, to strengthen Iranian influence and counter America and Israel. On the other hand, leading Sunni states, particularly Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates, see Iranian actions as a direct threat. This conflict has deep roots, but today it is intensified by the struggle for who will be the main power in the region. Saudi Arabia and Iran have been on opposite sides in many wars, such as those in Syria and Yemen, often turning local conflicts into proxy wars. Religious differences are often used to mobilize the people and to justify political goals. Iran uses the issue of Palestine to appeal to all Muslims, while fear of Iran is leading Israel and some Sunni countries to quietly draw closer. Iran's nuclear program as the foundation of the conflict. After the war with Iraq, Iran began to seriously work on its nuclear program. Tehran has always claimed that the program is only for electricity production. However, the USA and Israel suspected that Iran secretly wanted to build nuclear weapons. These suspicions were heightened in the early 2000s when secret nuclear facilities were discovered in Iran. This led to sanctions against Iran. After long negotiations, in 2015, Iran and world powers, USA, Russia, China, Great Britain, France plus Germany, reached the Iranian nuclear deal. Iran committed to limiting its nuclear program, and in return, sanctions were supposed to be lifted. For Israel, Iran's nuclear program is an absolute red line, something that threatens the very existence of the state. Israeli officials have repeatedly said that they will not allow Iran, a country that calls for the destruction of Israel, to obtain nuclear weapons. and that all options, including military ones, are on the table. It is believed that Israel itself was behind a series of secret operations, cyber attacks, sabotage in Iranian nuclear facilities, and assassinations of Iranian nuclear scientists, all to slow down Iranian progress. However, relations between Russia and Iran have significantly strengthened in recent years, especially after the start of the war in Ukraine. In January 2023, they signed a 20-year strategic agreement. This agreement includes military cooperation, Iran sending drones to Russia, and Russia potentially supplying advanced aircraft to Iran, intelligence sharing, and cooperation in energy. This Russian-Iranian alliance has given Iran the illusion of having a powerful protector on the world stage. It has further complicated the situation in the Middle East. It has further linked the already complicated conflicts in the Middle East with the multi-layered, long-running war in Ukraine. However, the latest open war between Iran and Israel in the first days of the exchange of fire did not show that Russia had supplied Iran with advanced technology. On the contrary, it has shown little or no willingness on the part of Russia to become significantly involved in the war. Finally, let's consider once more a key factor in the historical relations between Israel and Iran, and that is Israel's own game. Israel's game is, above all, a game of survival in a hostile environment, and it has been ongoing since the founding of the state in 1948. Israel has developed a strategy based on several things. 1. Having such a strong army that no one dares to attack you. 2. Readiness to act first against threats before they become too great. Examples are the destruction of the Iraqi Osirak reactor in 1981 and the current campaign against Iranian targets. 3. Although the USA is a key ally, Israel strives to be able to defend itself and to develop its own advanced technologies. 4. As demonstrated by the Periphery Doctrine and today by the Abraham Accords, Israel is prepared to make unexpected alliances of interest to fight major threats. 5. The absolute goal is to prevent Iran from building a nuclear bomb. The points mentioned are part of a broader Israeli strategy known as the war between wars, or the octopus doctrine, which means constant, covert or semi-overt actions against Iran and its allies, like Hezbollah in Lebanon, in order to prevent their strengthening near Israel's borders. Recent direct clashes show that this strategy is entering a new, much more dangerous phase. To summarize, from a former secret alliance to today's open war, from complex secret agreements to the formation of new alliances that change the world map, the relationship between Iran and Israel is one of the most complicated and dangerous stories of our time. To truly understand what is happening today in Gaza, Tel Aviv, Tehran, we must look at what happened much earlier. We must know the motives, fears, desires, and stories that lead to the actions of the main geopolitical players. The Middle East has always been a complicated enigma. Its problems were never just local. They always affected the entire world. Israel's military superiority and potential American aid seem like an insurmountable obstacle for Iran. Nevertheless, a willingness to place sacrifice above any rationality gives Iran that X factor, especially in the medium and long term, could keep the Middle East in a state of war much longer than Israel desires.